We are going to be using the Marauder known as Diego Lopez. Somebody that will pressure you and find that knockout shot no matter what, even if it means draining his gas tank. This is a fighter that's very dangerous for Volk, especially Volk coming off of two, KO losses, two finishes. This is going to be a very dangerous opponent for Volk. But if anyone can handle Diego Lopez, I feel like Volk can. So in this one, we're going to be talking more of the keys to victory for Diego Lopez. A lot of people are saying Volk might try to wrestle Diego Lopez to probably tire him out, maybe clinch him against the fence and kind of, take away his power and kind of win maybe a 5-round decision, or just gas him out and TKO him very late, like maybe round 4 and 5. But I think that's very dangerous because if he forces a crazy scramble like he was doing with Mozar Engelev, he did that on short notice and arguably won that fight in some people's eyes. So if he does come with that wrestling approach, I could see Diego Lopez snatching up a Doris or doing something and catching him in a submission, But this is Volk, He was trapped in a real dangerous mounted guillotine from Brian Ortega, someone that has the best submissions in that weight class. And he also went against Islam Makhachev. He didn't really get put into any dangerous submissions, or he wasn't really in danger on the ground at all. But that was years ago. So we're going to have to see if Volk is, fast enough and still has that heart to get out of some submission attempts, because if he has a wrestling approach, definitely expect for, Volk to get caught in some close ones. And besides that, obviously the boxing, getting him against the fence, he likes to put his hand up a bit. Volk kind of just has his chin in the air when he's trying to, retreat backwards. That's kind of what happened with the Ilya fight, where he did that and he got caught and he just overstayed his welcome. What I mean by that is, he just stayed in the pocket just a little too long, and it was enough for Ilya to land that clean kill shot on the jaw. So, if you do give him these openings, and he has to close the distance, right? He's not the longer fighter. Volk has great kickboxing, but he's going to have to be closing the distance, using his jab. And we've seen Diego Lopez, time, overhand counters time and time again, especially on Brian Ortega was doing that. But obviously Volk's jab is more effective, it's faster. Of course, it's going to be better than Brian Ortega's, but, he was even doing it to Dan Ige, which is a really good boxer. So we're going to have to see how this, matchup happens, or what happens this Saturday. It's going to be a great fight, I believe. I'm not sure if it's going to be a quick finish for Diego, because, I don't think he has the skills like Ilya Topuria. I don't think he's that elite with the boxing compared to Ilya. But if he goes out and finishes Volk, he's going to be in that elite list for sure. Volk is very, very, fight IQ based. He has great fight IQ, great kickboxing. And if you're able to just walk him down and knock him out, you are elite, in my opinion. So this is definitely going to be an amazing fight. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I don't really see Lopez winning. That's why I don't really know his keys to victory. Just those two pretty much. If he creates a crazy scramble from Volk wrestling, latching up a submission, and maybe just knocking him out in the pocket. There's times where Volkanovski stays in the pocket for too long, and he'll get countered with uppercuts, and we've seen him knock people out with uppercuts. Sadiq Youssef at UFC 300. So it's crazy. This is 50-50 almost. That's how I feel about it. I do see Volk winning, but if you're looking at this non-biased, no favorite picks involved, and just straight up on paper, as far as in their skill sets, it's a 50-50, because you could see Diego Lopez gassing out, losing a decision. You could see him possibly cracking Volk with an overhand and getting the fight over with. But we're going to have to see. That's the greatest part about MMA. We get to see these great fights happen. So I'm very excited. But for the most part, this fight's going to be a little bit longer, which is really good. You guys get to see me actually use my IQ and decision making throughout a longer fight, not just some quick first rounders. So you get to see how I play longer the fight goes on. I relatively play the same. That's easier said than done because a lot of people, they might have already had a few knockdowns, let's say in round 1, and they just start pushing the pace, they start rushing, and that's what gets a lot of people, finished, and that's what stops you from becoming, a very high-level player. Trust me, I was the same way back in UFC 4, and even towards the end of UFC 4. I would get frustrated, I was doing a lot of damage, I might press the pressure a bit too much, and I'll end up losing some fights, and it would stop me. Look at that. We time a nasty overhand with Diego Lopez, and we end up dropping him. I like to use overhand sometimes either off the jab or, just random. I like to walk in with a big overhand sometimes. So I probably threw a few overhands in the entire fight. So, it's not something you want to start spamming, especially because one thing I know about this matchup is this prime Volk, even the regular Volk, has very high cardio. We have low cardio. I'm not sure where it's at. I believe it's either like anywhere from 89 to 91. So we don't really have great cardio. Our nose is busted up already. So, our short-term stamina is going to be a lot slower to come back compared to him. So I'm going to take this opportunity to grapple Volk. We're going to take the back right here. He goes left, but we missed a deny. I'm just going to be punching the body. It's 50 seconds left, right? So I'm not looking to do anything crazy. I'm just punching the body, working that stamina. We have workhorse too. So, all of our actions on the ground take less stamina overall. So, of course you're going to want to grapple with Diego Lopez. You have really good submissions too. You have a lot of submission, pretty much almost every single submission counter. So far that I've seen, I don't use him too often, but he pretty much has the Von Flute. Like if people go for a Kimura on the bottom, you can armbar counter. I think he has a Darce choke one too. He's extremely dangerous. So my style of grappling, I like to work the body for the most part. Knees from side control. I punch the body for GA. I'm trying to wear down your stamina. Just going to make it easier on the feet. And, the later rounds when I'm getting down to the ground, easier to submit you. For the most part. So I'm trying to wear him down, trying to take away his stamina. That's his bigger weapon against me with his Volk pick. So you got to know your picks too. I know my boxing is strong, so I was boxing for the most part. I kicked a little bit. And, our grappling is very strong, so you want to impose that. But our takedowns are very shit. So what we do is, I didn't get to do it in this fight because I didn't really have to. Because the boxing was actually successful, so I didn't really have to force it. But that's where you do double leg bails, pull guard in the mount. Or, you do a bail and put him against the fence, or you could clinch takedowns. You could do those. You could put him against the cage. Take the back, do a backpack or a back drag. But you gotta be careful doing a whole bunch of that with Diego because, like I said, the cardio is not that good. So you will gas out. You get put in a submission right here, and I didn't think he was going for it. So we're gonna throw up some fakes. So basically, as soon as I go for the escape, I tap R2 to cancel it. So that's why both our stamina's going down. So right here, my stamina was gone. So I knew he was going to go for a submission. So I instantly go to race. And we end up getting out of that submission. It was all feeling. I didn't stand there and watch Volk. What I did was, as soon as I saw my stamina at 0, I just went for the escape immediately. And it was perfect because, shortly after me going for that escape, what did Volk do? He started going for the submission finish. So that's why I was able to escape very easily. Now he's stuck in crucifix. He does get out there. These elbows that I'm throwing on him damage the block significantly. So if you guys do get in this position, definitely get out. I would recommend going to the right because this guy keeps going to the left. I mean, it worked that time. But look what I'm able to do. Posture up, hold R1, flick to the right. And boom, we get side control again. Right there, I hold L2, R2, and I flicked up because that transition denial is up. And that's how we got that submission counter. We're holding R1, draining his stamina, seeing what he does. He panics. He doesn't do a fake. We deny left. And we're going to go for the submission, and we lock it in. That's going to hurt his long-term stamina permanently by a couple %. which will add up definitely, especially this is a 5-round fight. So they're going to take the back right here, see what he does. And we're going to punch for GA a little bit, just trying to see if he's going to move. Some people move really quick in this position. Trying to see what he does. He does deny full mount. He does go up, which is really fast on his own. Plus, he had GA, so, he got that. 50 seconds left, so we're going to go to sprawl, and we're going to try to get some body damage. We deny down. We're just punching the body. Right here, he should have been more patient because there's only like 30 seconds left. And look, he kept going for these big transitions, and now he's latched up in a Darce choke. He panics. He goes left, and we're going to lock in a deep Darce choke. And this is 100 sub defense Volk, so that's why he survived that, but he ends up rage quitting. But hope you guys enjoyed the Diego Lopez showcase, and stay tuned for more content.